Hey everyone, it's Alexa Mason with Grace and Cherish, where we look at interior design through the lens of hospitality and spiritual formation. Today we are going to talk about an element in a room called lines. In previous videos, we focused on focal points, we talked about planes, openings, and lighting, and now today we're going to put our focus on lines and how they work in a space and how you can use them in your own. So let's get to it. I actually have my computer out here right now because I didn't want to miss any of the details, and I figured, you know what, we'll just bust that thing. So if you see me looking, it's because I'm checking my computer, because I want to make sure we get all the information that I can, but also digestible enough so this video won't be too long. All right, let's get to it. We have horizontal lines, vertical lines, and curved lines, and at the end, we're going to talk about sight lines. Okay. Horizontal and vertical lines. Those are probably, you're probably more familiar with those. I'm going to show you some pictures from homes that we've lived in throughout the years to kind of give you an idea of how we've utilized lines. So we have board and batten. Board and batten is vertical lines. You can see here, boards are what go behind the battens that you see that are the thinner, the narrow piece of wood that's going vertical. So that is a great way if you have, say, 8-foot ceilings and you want it to feel a little taller. Board and batten is a great way to do it. I love using board and batten because of the way that the vertical lines draw your eye up, and it's also a really inexpensive project that you can do pretty quickly. I think I've mentioned it in another video too, because I just really like board and batten. So that's one thing, one way that you can utilize lines. If you have a room that feels kind of closing in on you and you don't want that feeling, you want to feel like there's a little bit more space and breathing room, getting something that draws your eye up, lines, using lines that way is helpful. This is why curtains are also helpful, and when you put up curtains, you want to have them only a couple inches off of the crown, like towards the ceiling. I don't like mine like at the ceiling, but you know, just a little bit underneath the crown at the top, because that line, again, it draws your eye up. It's really helpful in just creating a sense of just more space, a bigger sense of that feeling that's, you're not in a cocoon, unless you're going for the cocoon feeling. But if you're not, lines, vertical lines specifically, are super helpful. Now, the other thing you want to think about are horizontal lines. If you look in my screen porch that we, in our current home, we have vertical lines that go around. To us, that made a lot more sense than trying to do vertical lines, in part because of the way that the screen porch, the screens are. You see those, it's a lot of space that they take up. And so to do vertical lines, it felt like it would be too disjointed. But when I look at the horizontal lines, I have this sense of spanning. I always kind of look across the whole room because it's like they're pointing to keep going around. Now, one thing that horizontal lines do is they help a room feel wider. So if that's something you're wanting, that's a great way to help you get a sense of expansiveness, is horizontal lines that make you feel like the room's wider. In our dining room, I'm sitting here right now, so I'll show a video. I'll show a pan of it. We have on our ceiling horizontal lines. We could have done vertical, but that, again, to me, it didn't sit right. It felt like it was kind of stunting things as opposed to creating the sense of expansiveness. We have a kind of a narrow dining room, and so I liked that the lines went all the way across it. To me, that just felt better. They felt right, you know, for lack of better words. All of it just seemed to fit better than if we were to have gone vertical and gone opposite. Now, we do use vertical lines, again, I forgot, in our kitchen. So in our kitchen, we have tongue and groove. Those vertical lines, again, we got 8-foot ceilings. I liked the idea of creating something that felt a little bit taller, so we went with our tongue and groove there. So I forgot to mention that with vertical lines. Now, another way that you can use lines is through using curved lines. And remember, vertical and horizontal lines, I talked a bit about, you know, wall treatments, and curtains, but this also includes the window panes. Those are also lines. You know, when you think about in your space, if you look at it right now, do you have windows? Because those tend to be, unless they're circular, they tend to be straight, right? You have a lot of straight lines. A lot of that can be all around. When you look at my living room, I have a lot of straight lines. And so something that I was thinking about is, how do I create some sense of curve, circle, to help soften all of the straight lines? And so using curved lines, whether that's on furniture or through, like, we have a coffee table that's oval shaped, that's another way that you can use lines to help soften a space and provide some contrast. So think of, again, lines can be used in a lot of ways to help balance different aspects of a room. Now, sight lines is the last thing that I'm going to talk about. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Leading lines. I forgot about those. When you think about your floorboards, for example, you can often have lines in that. And so those are also leading lines. And leading lines, it's like, think of how your eye is looking, how it directs your eye. So with sight lines, actually, that's a good segue because sight lines are a little bit different. When I was looking at sight lines when we renovated our home, I knew that I wanted to emphasize specific views. And so I wanted to be able to, I would stand in a space and I'd say, I want to be able to look directly here. Like it was important to me to have just that straight view line. And so for example, I'm in our dining room and this was one of the areas that I was like, I really want to have a straight line out through the window. So I'm going to show you a picture. This is a picture from my living room and you see it goes through the kitchen, out the window into our backyard. That was really important to me. And on the flip side, if you're in the dining room, you have a line that goes through the kitchen and out into the living room. I wanted to have that connection. I knew when I was standing there, I wanted to see that. But also I have sight lines that were important to me from where my kitchen sink is. Now this picture is, if I'm standing at my kitchen sink and I look down the hallway, this is what I see in our mudroom. This is the room that my family and I enter. It's right off of our garage. So, I have 4 kids, they run around a lot outside, or I think about when people just come in and out, if, we host a lot of events here at our property. So I really wanted to have just a line of sight to that mudroom. So when someone's coming in, if I'm in the kitchen, I'm standing at the kitchen sink, which is facing in that direction. So I wanted to have that view, but I also wanted to be able to look into our homeschool room. So this is an image, this is a sight line that goes directly to that. When I was standing and trying to figure out the design of our kitchen, I literally stood here and knew I need to be able to see out in this direction. So those are some ways that you can use sight lines when you are trying to be intentional in designing your space. That's another way that sight lines can be used to benefit it. So I want to make sure that there aren't any details that I missed out. And I don't think so. So this video is going to be a little shorter because I wanted to just give you the information and hopefully that will help you. If you have any questions or need further clarification, please leave it below in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me and I'll catch you on the next one. Onward and hope, my friends.